ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Power Vacuum. I'm your host, Belmont, and we might have an update on Judas, the game from Ken Levine, and why it hasn't come out yet, because it was originally slated to come out earlier this year, I think 2 months ago, March. Well, and I guess it's now officially what, June 1st? So 3 months ago, but I don't know the official release date offhand. But this is from Gamespot. Everything we know about Judas, the upcoming RPG from the director of Bioshock. Ken Levine's upcoming sci-fi thriller is far more than just Bioshock in space. I feel Ken Levine is well known enough that you don't need to say the director of Bioshock, but I guess more people probably know the term Bioshock than Ken Levine. First revealed at 2022's Game Awards, Bioshock writer-director Ken Levine's upcoming narrative-driven RPG Judas is still shrouded in mystery. Developed by Levine's new studio, Ghost Story Games, Judas was almost immediately labeled as Bioshock in space by fans, which is weird because you think they would just call it like the sequel to, or not the sequel, a spiritual successor to System Shock, which did take place in space. But hey, Bioshock pretty much erased System Shock from people's memories. Where was I? But at the game's launch, or as the game's launch draws closer, it becomes clear that although Judas certainly draws inspiration from the series that made Levine a household name, it's not just Bioshock with a futuristic coat of paint. Judas has its own identity. While the details are still relatively sparse, trailers, previews, events, and developer interviews have painted a much clearer picture of what players can expect from Levine's latest creation. If you're interested in decoding this enigmatic RPG, keep scrolling for a breakdown of everything we know about Judas, from plot details to gameplay, features, and everything in between. When does it launch? It was originally slated for March 2025, but March came and went without a peep from Levine and developers at Ghost Story Games. Currently, there is no official release date for Judas. The game's Steam page lists its release date as coming soon. In a recent earnings report, Take-Two listed the game's launch date as to be announced. I find it interesting that he's still working for Take-Two, and it makes me wonder what happened with, was it 2K that also did BioShock? Take-Two Interactive and 2K Games, I think, that Levine had to walk away to start his own studio, or if he just wanted more creative control after BioShock Infinite. I should probably look into that. What platforms is Judas releasing on? PC, PS5, and Xbox Series consoles. What's it about? The game's description on Steam reads, a disintegrating starship, a desperate escape plan. You are the mysterious and troubled Judas. Your only hope for survival is to make or break alliances with your worst enemies. You will work together to fix what you broke, or will you leave it to burn? So I wonder if Judas is going to be your last name of your character, in the vein that Shepard is the last name of the main character in Mass Effect, where you got to create your own character in a way, but you were always Shepherd, right? You could give your own first name and you could be male or female in that game. I think Judas is locked into a female character, but I wonder if you can like choose if there's going to be some flexibility or if it's completely fixed. Players will be stepping into the shoes of the aforementioned troubled protagonist Judas. Judas is a woman who appears to live and work on a spaceship called the Mayflower. Mayflower has recently suffered a sort of disaster, one that, based on the game's description, Judas herself is at least partially responsible for. I wonder if it's betrayal. Judas. Uh, Many areas of the ships are broken off, depressurized, or caught on fire, and the goal is clear: survive no matter what the cost. Of course, knowing Ken Levine, Judas will be a play on, the biblical Judas and the fact that maybe Judas's actions led to this, but Judas isn't the betrayer. Maybe Judas exposed the betrayer, and that's what led to the downfall, but we'll have to see. This is still a really cool shot, though. Based on the protagonist's biblical name, it's likely that betrayal is a major theme in the game's narrative. I guess I could have just kept reading and kept my opinion to myself because they're voicing it right there. Though it's not entirely clear if Judas herself is the betrayer or the one who has been betrayed. I should have just kept reading. Interestingly, the game's trailers feature several shots of injured androids who look identical to humans with the exception of a glowing green circle on the back of their hands. The ship is dying. A visibly injured Judas declares the game's announcement trailer, and my way out of here is with one of them. Judas herself may in fact be an android, as gameplay footage shows her sporting the glowing green circle on the back of her hand and shooting plasmid like powers out of it. It's also possible Judas is actually a human who has been robotically augmented, a la Cyberpunk 2077's protagonist V. I guess that's the most recent example of augmented humans, but that's a pretty on the nose thing. There's Go read Neuromancer, people. But if that's the case, Judas has been very heavily augmented. Another trailer clip shows her finishing off an enemy while floating around outside the damaged Mayflower without any sort of suit to protect her body from the vacuum of open space. Yeah, but that could be very well easily explained with like an upgrade, or how Bioshock has plasmids and stuff like that. You could have some sort of pseudoscientific magical bullshit that allows you to be out in space without a suit. It could be like a little belt they wear. Put this belt on, you can do spacewalks. Time travel may also be a theme in the game's narrative, as another trailer features a quick jump cut in which Judas can be seen near a wall calendar indicating that the year is 1979. Yep, okay. So this tracks on with what Levine loves to do. Levine loves retro futuristic stuff. Alternate timelines set in a futuristic past time period. Bioshock, Bioshock Infinite. These are both uh, old school time periods with futuristic technology, and this just is right in his like wheelhouse. And also, setting it in older stuff allows you to ignore modern advances and make everything your own and not have to worry about any kind of like crossover or why certain things don't exist. This could also be an illusion, however, as some of Judas's statements in the trailer suggest that the game takes place in a world where thoughts are recorded by a Big Brother-esque entity, and false memories can be implanted into the station's robotically augmented inhabitants, Westworld style. Other shots in the game's trailers reference the Big Three, a trio of characters who once controlled the Mayflower. The Big Three is made up of Hope, a young woman with pink hair and a childlike aesthetic, Nefertiti, a woman with strange mechanical abilities and affinity for fashion, and Tom, a middle aged man in a cowboy hat. It appears that these three characters are Judas's enemies, and players may have to choose which one of Judas escapes the ship with. So, okay, interesting. Hope, Nefertiti, and Tom. I haven't watched any of the. I watched, I think, the initial trailer. I don't remember this part. Although, if they're talking about this, it was like a very brief clip thing. There have been more trailers. I should probably watch them. I'm here to set you free, Judas states in one trailer as she presses a button, ignoring the computer terminal's warnings to do so will cause a catastrophic failure, whether you like it or not. The game's trailers indicate it's expected to receive an M rating. According to the ESRB, M-rated games are generally suitable for ages 17 and up, but may contain intense violence, blood, and gore, sexual content, and or strong language. You don't have to recite everything that M-rated games are supposed to have. That's just, I don't know, an exercise in futility. M rating means nothing. It just means your parents have to buy it. 12-year-olds have been playing Call of Duty since its inception. 12-year-olds have been playing Grand Theft Auto since its inception. In fact, I remember, I think it was Grand Theft Auto 2. I was 14 or 15 and I bought that game, and I don't even think it had an M rating. I don't think it was rated because it was like this top down kind of goofy looking game. And I think it passed under the ESRB because they just thought it was this dumb, goofy looking game. And at the time, well, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't remember the original GTA 2 having a rating on it. Now maybe it was on the box, not the disc, and where I went, they only had like the small like jewel case that was inside the original box because I got it used. So maybe that was it. But I don't know. They sold it to me. I think it was Rhino Games, and it was like $11 or something like that. Judas gameplay details. We'll get back in this article. I'll stop ranting right now. While Bioshock in Space is a great elevator pitch, what we've seen from the game so far suggests that Judas is far from a Bioshock clone. Yes, it's a narrative driven first person shooter from the guy who made Bioshock and thus bears some resemblance to the Bioshock series, but Judas also differs from Levine's previous work in many ways. Yeah, Atomic Heart was straight up a Bioshock ripoff. And I could go into that forever. I won't. Maybe I'll put up my review of Atomic Heart because I've only done a written review. But man, let me get back to this before I get sidetracked. Uh, One notable difference between Judas and Bioshock series is the fact that Judas is a procedurally generated roguelike. We call it pseudo procedural because it's not like Minecraft where everything's being generated off a set of pure mathematical heuristics, Levine explained in an interview. You build all these smaller pieces, elements in the game, and then you teach the game how to make good levels essentially, and a good story, and most importantly, make it reactive to what you do. The big three appear in Judas as holograms, and her relationship with each of them will play a major role in the game's narrative. Doing a favor from one member of the big three will increase the affinity for Judas, but is likely to displease at least one of the other two members, and anger comes with consequences. If Judas upsets one member, they may get back at her by ratting her out to another member by revealing her plans or current location. It's clear that Judas's story design, especially when it comes to player choice, goes much deeper than Bioshock's very binary "Will you save the little sisters" or "Are you a complete sociopath" narrative choice. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty it. Are you a complete sociopath? Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty apt description. But this is just factions. So there's factions in the game. It's Bioshock with factions. All right. As for the game's roguelite elements, Levine says that death is an integral part of the game. Items that allow Judas to regain health are scarce and enemies are everywhere. You do have the opportunity when you die to go change yourself, Levine says, improve yourself, change your tool chest, which is pretty broad and variable tool chest, and change the Mayflower itself. For more information on Judas's gameplay, check out GameSpot senior producer Lucy James' breakdown of the game, which she played for 5 hours at a preview event in 2024. Is there 5 hours of content? Yo, can we get that? Can we just get can can we renormalize demos? Like sending out actual demos and some games still do this because if you look at Steam or Xbox Marketplace. I don't know about PlayStation Marketplace, but there are games that still do demos where they let you play 1 or 2 hours. But demos used to be substantial. 5 hours is a substantial chunk of game to demo. And that's what I want to get back to. Like send out demo disc or demo downloads. Just let people know, hey, we're demoing this game. Everybody play it. Tell us what you think. Because not only do you get feedback from fans, you get to see what people are doing and understand that there are some things that don't work, some that do. You can find bugs by looking at demos. Oh, though Judas is far from a Bioshock clone, it still proudly bears the hallmarks of Levine's previous work: a dystopian setting, plasma-esque powers, the and off-the-wall set pieces like a gigantic robot dog that Judas boards like a bathysphere. What do you think of Judas's gameplay elements and narrative premise? Are there any specific features you're hoping to see in the game? Let us know in the comments. Yeah, I don't know, but there you have it. This was less of an update than I liked because this was more just regurgitating a lot of the stuff we already knew about. But that's the update. Hopefully, this will come out within the next couple months because I've been anticipating this game. Ken Levine hardly ever has disappointed me. I don't know if he has. I'd have to go back and look. Because I've been a fan of his, I think, since System Shock 2. And Bioshock was groundbreaking. with everything it brought to the table for first person shooters. BioShock 2 less so, but he wasn't involved with that one. And then BioShock Infinite's one of my favorite games of all time. Like you're looking at right here, two of my favorite games, Arkham Asylum and BioShock Infinite. They're definitely in my top 10 games of all time uh list. You know, they're up there with Fallout 2 and the original Super Mario World. There's just, some games that withstand the test of time. I probably play BioShock Infinite about once a year, and Arkham Asylum less so because I've beaten that game. Oh man, I played it 3 or 4 times in a row when it first came out. It was just the most immersive superhero game probably to date. But there you go. That's the current update state of Judas. Again, not as much as I'd like it to be, but you take what you can get in this world when it comes to video games, especially ones that are highly anticipated. That's all I have for this story. This is your host Belmont, signing out.